Alrighty, so I got the 2.1 version update out. Came out just shortly after midnight tonight, and I wanted to go through my list here of everything I've got for the update. So the update includes. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the camera. I'm trying to read my notes. Okay, so first off, the train station has been changed significantly. The graphics look a lot nicer. There's a lot more decorations going on, and for that, I hope that brings a lot of life to the game. I think that was a big map. It had a lot going on, but there wasn't really a whole lot going on in the old version. So this has all kinds of stuff in there. There's a lot of cool stuff to look at. I hope that's a lot less bland for you. And then next up, the kitchen and main house decorations have also been slightly improved. Not as noticeable as the train station, but there's definitely some tweaks to them. Shadowed over the unexplorable areas of the house. You know how certain rooms haven't been finished due to it just not being included in the story just yet. By the way, this will all be released in version 3.0. Spoilers. The whole house will be unlockable through version 3.0. But those are for now just shadowed over to kind of make it almost a vague area that you're not really aware of. It kind of. I don't want to spoil the story too much, but just feel like if your character hasn't seen those areas, then it's foggy to her mind. I'm not going to describe why that is, but just know it does play actually quite a role in the story. So if it seems weird to you, that there's a good reason for it. Although it won't be in the version 3.0 just due to the fact that it's all decorated and stuff. And it'll all be explorable at that point. I added an animation before boarding the train where your player will just look both ways, checking if anybody sees her hopping on the train without a ticket. I had a lot more interactions with just different items around the world. You can, look at the printer and it'll tell you it's a printer, and if you need it, it'll say if you have any use for it. Same with a lot of other items, and you can even use the sinks now. I know the toilets were usable before, but there wasn't really a whole lot else usable, so I added some other things you could actually interact with and use. Like, there's a part where you can actually go into the pool now, so if you want to hunt for that, go right ahead. If you don't care, well, then you don't have to. And now you have to, in order to trigger a couple events, the luggage in the first part of the game, you now have to press the interaction button against it. I think most people hopefully have played the previous versions, otherwise, spoiler alert, whoops. But, yeah, you'll have to click on your luggage, and when talking to the shopkeeper, you can now talk to him by pressing the interaction button, and it doesn't just trigger automatically when you walk up to him. Same with the luggage, used to trigger automatically when you walked up to it. And this was all done just by changing the the event is now on the space next to the luggage instead of on the luggage spot itself, where it had to be parallel to it would trigger it. Now it's triggered by being on that space. So a little bit of game development stuff for you. You probably don't care if you don't know much about creating your own game, but yeah, it's completely new events and remove the old ones. But anyway, I added a fade out and fade in animation for the Darumadal scene when you're cleaning up. Trying not to spoil things, but I think that by the time you realize what that is, you've already done it. So yeah, it's just a fine little animation. Also, I fixed a bit of the animation for the police scene when he's arresting the old house owner. He arrests him, and then he used to walk quite a bit a ways from, he'd walk quite a bit extra to the left, and now he sticks pretty much to the straightest path he can go to get out the door. I added another electric sound during the end cutscene. Spoilers alert again. During the end cutscene, it used to be where if you, or it used to be during the end, you were being resuscitated, or not during the absolute last cutscene, but during the second to last, you were being resuscitated and they would be trying to bring you back to life with the electric pads. Well, it had the first zapping sound, and then when they set the voltage higher, there wasn't another, so I added one before that. I changed the ghost appearance. It's now a lot more creepy, I think. It used to be pretty silly looking, to be honest. I was just slapping something out that didn't look natural, but it never really seemed scary or that much. This one's pretty creepy, I think. And it's definitely a taste for some of the other ghosts I've created come the next update. Which, I'm sorry it's not going to be out as soon as I had hoped. I plan to release it in early 2024. So hopefully January or February after I've moved, assuming that all goes through, but either way I'm packing now, so it sounds like it's pretty set in stone and I want to be ready when it happens. Because I got a lot of stuff to move. Beyond that whole thing. Oh, yep. The suicide scene. Now trigger again, these are gonna spoil things. Warning. Suicide scene triggers automatically upon entering the bedroom now. Once you enter the bedroom and move... Okay, well, you have to actually move to the right. If you move up, it's not going to, but it will if you move toward the bottom space of the bed. And basically, this was because most people were like probably a little lost on what they had to do. This makes it a little easier because the way the animation's set up for your character through this scene makes it to where I couldn't put it on the top space. Or next to the top space of the bed, you had to be specifically next to the bottom space. And because of that, I thought it should trigger automatically a little easier. Because trying to be so cryptic as to know you had to click not on the top space but the bottom space, it's a little much. So I'm sorry about that in previous updates, but that's been fixed now. I hope people like that. So upon just walking onto that space, if you were aware of things. The trace station enemy rates, people complained about them, so I have lowered them. Instead of I mean, it doesn't really trigger this rare, but when you type in 30 spaces, the game says every 5 spaces you're going to encounter an enemy. So I changed it from 30 to 50. Hopefully that should cause less bats. But I thought maybe some combat would be nice in this update when there wasn't a whole lot yet. But there is a lot more combat coming in the next story section. Just a warning. It's not your standard combat. I plan to have ghosts like chase you throughout the house and stuff. So that's what I'm working on, and I'm trying to work it out. Some of the kinks that I have with that. You now will face toward events when using them. So, for instance, doors don't activate this way in transferring you, but like transferring events don't all activate this way. But otherwise, if you're like facing away from the toilet when you try to use the toilet, you will now turn toward the toilet when it asks you if you want to use it. Same with other things. There's a message now to the one door to the unfinished areas of the house. Before it was just kind of there and nobody knew why, probably. But yeah, that now has a message saying it's locked. Other than the first part in the house where you're unpacking your things, in which case it just says you need to unpack. Yep. So before this update, you could be in any one of 3 spaces to enter the shrine room once that room is unlocked, or to leave the house in certain spaces. But now you have to be in the space in the parallel to the doorway, so it from the outside. So that's one space in the middle of the front entrance you have to be standing in. That would be more realistic since that's the space that would be, straight to the doorway. So you have to be in front of the door itself to leave it. Some tile set properties have been modified. Mostly just what spaces you can walk over and not. As well as a counter space added because of the shopkeeper. The note event. So if you haven't done it yet, I wouldn't advise you to hear about this. This would be a note event that happens right after the Rumadal, where you look for a note to remind you what you had to do, and it turns off afterwards. So you can't read the note twice, just because it kind of makes you look kind of dumb when you're like, oh, I forgot I had to do this, and then you read it again. Oh, I forgot I had to do this, and you read it again. Oh, like, it just seems kind of silly. So I just made it one-time thing. It didn't really affect anything badly if you read it more than once. I changed the currency name to yen in the game options. That was apparently something I looked over. Like, you will refer to it as yen in the game, but it was called gems in the menu. So that's been fixed. I updated the ending notes for, like, what the version is about, what it has in it. And I was like, well, this isn't actually more story this time. So I changed it to say it's, instead it's just a refinement of the previous versions. And of course I added like information to this YouTube channel. I thought that would help. And all that. The ending also now returns you to the title screen. So this also fixes the previous looping glitch, although it did tell you that that was the end of the game once you reached it. So it wasn't like you really expected much out of anything left, but if you had gone back outside of the kitchen and came back in, it would have looped events all over again. Or it would have looped your boyfriend, I think, or something like that. Some event looped, I remember, and basically that's now fixed. Because you just close out the game when you're done. There was, depending on what space you triggered the final event, or cutscene event during, like, what space you're standing on when triggering that, depending on it, there was only one space that was going to show it, the others wouldn't. There was a certain line of text that was cut off, and just 3 out of 4 different spaces you could be standing on to trigger this event were with a line of text that would be cut off during the cutscene. So I fixed those as well. Surprised nobody actually told me about that one. That one I kind of found on my own. Did I mention this? I thought I mentioned this, but maybe not. Well, it's on here now. Anyway, I thought I had said this. Maybe it's just been going through my mind. I've been reading these all night. And making sure I didn't forget any. Bathroom vents, I guess I must not have mentioned it. I added bathroom vents to 2 maps that were missing them. It was actually when you returned home from the grocery store maps. Those 2 dark maps, there's actually 2, you probably don't know that, but there's 2 maps for different events that trigger at in different spots, and very slight changes, but you won't really notice much visually different. But anyway, both those maps were missing the bathroom vent and the bathroom. Nobody mentioned that either. I think this was a little more subtle. But anyway, I fixed that up. There's now bathroom vents in the bathrooms. The title screen image and game preview image have been changed, and same with the title screen music. Changed the title screen music to be more horror themed, and the title screen image was just changed to be the equivalent of version 3.0's image that I used. And then these won't be as noticeable for people playing the game. Might have some impact on the memory it takes to download it. I removed unused events, event pages, and maps from it that were in the files, but they weren't really doing anything because they were actually for a later release. I cut it off at a certain point and was like, okay, this is a good ending spot, and a few things were left in from that didn't really trigger afterwards, so I removed those. I renamed some events, and I updated the game description, that you will notice. But that's the entirety of this update. I hope that I get some good feedback on it. Good, bad, whatever. I hope it's honest feedback. I hope you guys appreciate it, and I will try to get that version 3.0 in the works at least, and hopefully I can release it, if not on time, which I don't expect it to be on time, but maybe by some miracle it'll be on time. But if not, hopefully shortly into 2024. So with that, have a good night, enjoy the new game, and I'm out.